It's a sad day here at the Glorious Ranch, Deep Six Wrestling fans. As you can see, I am no longer the Deep Six Wrestling Champion. Enjoy it while you can, Ryan the Indie Nerd. I'm coming for you. Welcome to Glorious or Rotten. I am your host, the Glorious Robbie Rotten, aka the inaugural and longest reigning Deep Six Champion of all time, aka the Glorious One, aka Mr. Money in the Bank. And this episode is going to focus on Stomping Grounds, which took place on June 23rd, 2019, from the Tacoma Dome in Tacoma, Washington. We are going to start with the kickoff show. And before we actually get to the kickoff match, there was a promo that Daniel Bryan and Rowan cut where it starts off with like a ref entering the shot, and Bryan like screams at the ref to get out of the shot, and then he just cuts this really good, really impassioned promo about saving the tag division and saving the planet. And oh my god, Daniel Bryan as a heel is a revelation. I love it. His first run as a heel was good, but this is just so much better. I can't even get over it. I can't believe that a year ago he was just coming back and you'd never think of booing him. But now here we go, and he's amazing. And then after that we had the kickoff match, which was the Cruiserweight Championship match, triple threat, between champion Tony Nese and the challengers Akira Tozawa and Drew Gulak. As to be expected, the Cruiserweights always put on a really good show, and this was no different. It was a really good match. To me, Tony Nese just kind of feels like a placeholder champion. I never really saw him as like a big deal on the show, as opposed to like, Cedric Alexander always felt like he belonged champion, and so did Buddy Murphy. But Nese seemed kind of random to me. And that was rectified here as Drew Gulak picks up the win and the title with a torture rack neck breaker in a great match. And there's not really that much I could say about it. It was just kind of typical fast-paced cruiserweight action. But I will give this match a glorious. Great way to kick off the night. Alright, to kick off the main card, we had the Raw Women's Championship match between Becky Lynch, the Man, and the sassy Southern Belle, Lacey Evans. Something tells me that Stomping Grounds is not going to be an annual pay-per-view. I could definitely see it just being a one-off, a random one-off, like Great Balls of Fire. I don't really know what's up with the names and odd themes here, but Vince McMahon's kind of a weird guy. This was a very solid match. Lacey Evans has really good character work, and I could see her being a really big star someday. She just needs some work in the ring, but she was fine here. This was probably one of the weaker matches of the night, to be honest, but it was still very solid. Becky obviously carried a lot of this. We got some actual "you can't wrestle" chants at Lacey, which you haven't really seen in a while. I don't think that's totally fair, but she's definitely a little bit green still. Becky picked up the win and retained her championship with a disarmor. And yeah, that kicked off the night kind of nice. Kicked off the main card with a nice and happy start. So good ending there. And yeah, this was just fine. Nothing special. Next up, we had Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus Xavier Woods and Biggie, the New Day. And this one actually, it started off great. Like, the heels isolated Woods. Kevin Owens super kicked Big E off the apron, and then he hit Woods with a couple super kicks, and then he hit like a senton bomb off the top rope and went for the pin, and I almost thought it was over right there. Woods kicks out, and then they hit him with a couple more super kicks. Sami hits him with the Blue Thunder Bomb, and then another near fall, and then they just beat him down for a while. they actually made it seem like this match was going to be over in about a minute. And then, Xavier Woods is resilient and stays in it. Biggie gets the hot tag and they go crazy. It goes back and forth. Really, really fun back and forth action between the two teams. They had another great false finish when Sami hit a haluva kick and Owens hit a pop-up powerbomb. But Biggie comes and makes a save at the last second. Great false finish. And then it breaks down into chaos. Biggie spears Sami Zayn on the apron outside. And Owens hits a stunner on Woods and picks up the pin. What a great, fun match. The heels picked up a much-needed victory. Man, this was really fun. This absolutely gets glorious for me. Really good stuff here. All the competitors are great. Next up, we had the U.S. Championship match between the champion Samoa Joe and his challenger Ricochet. And you know what? This one got off to somewhat of a slow start, but it really, really picked up and became something pretty good. Ricochet was wearing like yellow gear, and usually I think yellow gear is just like the worst, but he pulled it off. I gotta give it to him. Not usually a fan of that style, but yeah, he pulled it off. And then we go into like the middle portion of the match, and it really starts to pick up. And here we go. We have a new United States champion in Ricochet. Ricochet picks up the victory with the 630, and man, good for him. He's pretty new to the main roster, but he definitely deserves it. The guy works really hard. Is Ricochet the greatest athlete in WWE history? I want to hear what you think. I don't know. I think he could be. And then we cut backstage after the match to Ricochet coming to the gorilla position, and a bunch of superstars and Triple H all congratulate him. That was kind of weird, but it was kind of cool. I actually liked that. It actually led up to, Heavy Machinery's entrance for their next match. But still, I thought it was kind of a cool moment. This match absolutely gets glorious to me, for sure. The next match was the Smackdown Tag Team Championship match between Bryan and Rowan and Heavy Machinery. And man, the crowd was super hot for Bryan. And for good reason. The guy is a treat to watch in the ring. I am not a fan of Heavy Machinery at all, particularly Otis. I don't get it. I know he's charismatic and all that. I don't get it, though. It's dumb. I really, really don't want to see them win any titles. I don't see why they're on the main roster, to be honest, but whatever. Obviously, I'm not writing the show, and Vince McMahon probably would disagree with me. But here we are. This was actually a pretty fun back and forth match. There was one point where Corey Graves actually said, Daniel Bryan is doing his best to try and save the planet. And Otis is doing his best to try and look like the planet. That made me laugh. I thought that was really funny. Good job, Corey. The baby faces put up a really good fight. It actually looked like they had match one here for a minute. But Daniel Bryan got Tucker with a small package and retained the championships. This match was fun. It was fine for what it was. Nothing special, though. I can definitely see Heavy Machinery eventually taking the championships, and that kind of makes me upset. But, this was fine for what it was. Next up, we have the SmackDown Women's Championship between Bayley, the champion, and Alexa Bliss with Nikki Cross. And this was really fun, actually. There was a lot of good storytelling and psychology here. I'm really looking forward to the payoff between Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. I like the story they've been telling so far, and I'm looking forward to see where it goes. Bayley showed a really good edge here that she hasn't really showed. She's been showing it recently, but it was missing for a lot of her main roster run, and now here it is. And these two actually exceeded expectations. They had a fun match. I mean, it wasn't like a technical masterpiece or anything, but it was fun. And there's like a sunset flip powerbomb spot in the corner that Bayley did to Alexa. It looked kind of scary, but in a good way, I guess. Crazy stuff. Bayley gets the pin off a belly-to-belly suplex and retains the championship. When Nikki Cross kind of gets involved, Alexa was on the top rope looking for Twisted Bliss, and Nikki kind of just got in the ring for what seemed like no reason. I mean, she's kind of unhinged anyway, so it made sense, but it was just... She got in the ring, and the ref got distracted, and Bliss got distracted, and then Alexa went for it again, and Bayley countered it, and then hit the belly-to-belly and the pin. So there's going to be some tension between those two, seemingly. So good stuff. I wouldn't quite say this was special, but it was good. I definitely am looking forward to what goes on in the future between. Maybe they'll continue this rivalry. I don't know. So good stuff. Next up, we have the big dog Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre with Shane McMahon in his corner. This match started out pretty slow. I expected more of like a brawl between these two, especially with the promos that McIntyre was cutting beforehand, making it seem like he was going to destroy and disfigure Reigns so that his family would be afraid to look at him. But this was just kind of like a standard match. And I mean, these two are great, so it's not like it was bad, but I thought it would be more intense. Obviously, McMahon has to get involved. He tried to cost Reigns the match, but it didn't really work out. I'm really upset because McIntyre, I think, really could have used the win here, but unfortunately, at least in my opinion, I mean, I love Roman Reigns. He's great, don't get me wrong, but Reigns picks up the win here with a spear. After, McMahon tries to get involved, and he thwarts the help, and he hits a spear and picks up the win. I guess it makes sense for the storyline because they're definitely building towards Reigns and Shane in Extreme Rules match, I believe, at Extreme Rules, which will be great. I'm excited to see that because, Shane's always great in crazy stipulation matches. And Reigns is good at everything, so it'll be fun, but I just really think McIntyre could have used the win here. He's definitely a main event level talent, and he just needs that little push to get there. But this was fine. It was actually a pretty solid match. It never really hit that next gear. It was one step away from being a good match. So, it was fine. Next up, we have the WWE Championship match between Kofi Kingston, the champion, and the challenger Dolph Ziggler inside a steel cage. And anybody who watches my content by now should know that I do not really like steel cage matches. And this is actually the second pay-per-view in a row with a steel cage match, not counting Saudi Arabia, because nobody really counts Saudi Arabia. So I wasn't thrilled when they announced it was going to be a steel cage, because I really was looking forward to this rivalry continuing, but then they said steel cage, and I was like, I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully this one passes my expectations. And it did. This was actually really, really fun. It was, the beginning was a lot of cage spots, but the middle portion of the match was really strong. Lots of really good psychology and storytelling. Working on limbs and stuff. It was really good stuff. It had a really fun, innovative finish, too, with Kofi Kingston escaping the cage by jumping through the door. Like, he jumped... Okay, let me set the stage here. Ziggler is climbing out the door. He's, got his hands kind of on the ground under the ropes. And Kofi's on the other side of the ring, and he just sprints and dives over Dolph Ziggler, through the middle rope, and just flies out the door and lands on the ground before Ziggler can hit the ground. It was pretty cool. I really enjoyed that. And Saudi Arabia was not up to par with their chemistry. This was absolutely up to par with their chemistry. This is what I was hoping for. And it was a good steel cage match, so great all around. This was absolutely glorious. I can't say more about it. I really enjoyed it, and I'm happy that I was proved wrong by these two. Next, we come to the main event for the Universal Championship. The champion Seth Rollins versus the challenger Baron Corbin with special guest referee, the sassy Southern Belle, Lacey Evans. That was a good swerve. I wasn't expecting that at all. I really was expecting someone like Shane McMahon or Paul Heyman or maybe even Brock Lesnar. Who knows? This had a very different feel to it. It wasn't like your typical WWE main event match. It was kind of like it had like an older school, like an Attitude Era feel to it almost, with the heels just kind of beating down Seth mercilessly. I mean, mainly Corbin, obviously, but Lacey just not caring at all anything that Corbin did. And she even was like changing the rules in the middle of the match, which I thought was a nice touch, actually. First, she made it no countouts when Corbin would have gotten counted out after a buckle bomb. Well, not really a buckle bomb because it wasn't the buckle, but a power bomb through the table. And then another rule change when Corbin was hitting Seth with a steel chair. She made it no DQ, which actually set up the finish, which was Lacey low blowing Seth. Well, after she slapped him a couple times, and she low blowed him. And then Corbin hit the end of days, and then out comes Becky Lynch to a huge reaction to beat down Lacey and take her out of the equation. I'm seeing a few people saying that they didn't like it because it was predictable and obvious that Becky was going to come out, but I don't think that makes it bad. Like, I think that was really good. The storytelling there was really great. The whole match had some great storytelling there with the beaten down baby face, and then the damsel in distress, and then the hero Becky Lynch coming out to make the save. I really enjoy that style. It brings me back to the Attitude Era, and honestly, I grew up in the Attitude Era. But yeah, this was really fun. Seth gets the win with a curb stomp. Baron Corbin when Becky takes out Lacey Evans, and in comes John Cone. A great touch there, because John Cone was the one that cost Corbin the match in Saudi Arabia. So that was a really good callback. And the baby faces celebrate after the match. It's actually a nice feel-good ending to the show. And man, Seth and Becky look like a nice couple. Good stuff. I really enjoyed it. I would absolutely give the match a glorious, for sure. I really enjoyed it. And I wouldn't mind seeing more booking like that going forward. Overall, as a whole, the show was really fun. I had really low expectations going into the night, but it blew them out of the water. And I think every match was very solid. There wasn't a bad match on the card. And definitely more good than bad going out of the night. So I will give the show a glorious as a whole. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at Deep Six Wrestling, and like us on Facebook. Have a glorious day.